Driving little person.
We're actually live right now, so
Uh-oh. All right, so I have to be on my behavior. Sorry.
that's okay. Get us on. All
It's
right, here we
telling
go.
me
So we are
everyone can
live
see and hear
on.
you.
Say it again.
It says everybody can see and hear you, so I think we're
Yep,
ready.
we're good.
I
We're
got
live on
two of you and two of
Instagram.
me, and this is just confusing, but we're gonna get there.
Yeah, so we're live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So go on all four at the same time, and I keep track if any comments coming or anything like that. So,
Got it.
man, before we jump into it, how you been doing? How is retirement from the crazy world of automobile sales? How has it been treating you? Have you lost weight since you left? I mean, your skin
Yes,
got
that I
better. What's
have.
going on?
I've lost now 10 pounds, and I am on a new diet that I started a month and a half ago. That it's working, but I will tell you, I'm more ornery now because I have had to give up quite a few things I enjoy to eat. So no pastas, no rice, no potato, no basically no carbs at all, none, zero.
Wow.
So, but anyway, it's dropping like crazy. But when I had a physical and or not a physical, I had a heart test in June. My blood sugar count was wacky, so I went to had my physical Monday, and the numbers have dropped dramatically in the last 2 months. So everything is going right. So I'm just going to keep plowing the road. It was tough to do that while on vacation, though. I promise you that.
Yeah. Well, you know,
But
they
I did
said
it.
calories don't count on vacation.
No, they don't. But honest to God, we were in the car so much we didn't have time to eat anywhere because you had to get everywhere. Montana's so spread out.
Yeah, it's the most less densely populated state or something like that.
It is, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, there's not. I mean, your whole time you're just like everywhere you look from horizon to horizon. It's unbelievable. I will never forget that place as long as I live.
Yeah, how's Courtney doing?
Dealing with me now 24/7. So how do you think she is?
I probably need to have that conversation with her.
Hey, was your wife in that movie Elijah Peel? Was she one of the four singers in that?
If it's a movie, no, she was not in a movie.
Okay, all right. So there's a movie that came out last week. It's a Christian-based movie called Elijah Peel. The guy that's sponsoring me produced the movie,
Uh
and there
huh.
were four women that were singing backup. And I swear to you, the one of the middle singers looked exactly like your wife. And I turned to Terry and was like, "Do you know the names of these singers? Because they weren't in the credits." So I was just curious because I mean it looked just like her. So
Wow.
I thought it was her. So I meant to ask you that.
And what's the name of the movie? Elijah Beale
Elijah Peel.
Peel.
It came out on limited release, but it was in 600 theaters across the country. It'll be on Netflix within the next month or two. But it was unbelievably powerful message. But
Okay.
if she wasn't, she wasn't. I mean, I think she would have told you, and you would have probably gone to the movie to see her. But yeah,
Yeah.
one of the singers looks just like her, exactly.
Wow. That's crazy. But yeah, we'll definitely check it out. Yep.
Because you mean to get some royalties if it becomes popular. So anyway, that's all.
Yeah, just to get some look like royalty is what it's called. Look like.
Exactly. We got to get that. We got. I'll be the
Yeah.
agent. Don't worry about it. I got you covered.
Yeah. That's cool. Hey, so let's jump into this, man. I really appreciate you taking your time to do this. So my first question to you is, can you share how cancer first became personal for you, and what led you down this path of courage to cancer?
Well, you were working with me at the time when one of my 14-year-old twins, Harrison, was diagnosed with a very rare cancer that Labanner could not even diagnose it when they took it out of his arm. There was some growth that was underneath his underarm right here. And I always tell people cancer is the disease of millimeters. It was that close to his lymph nodes, but not in communication with his lymph nodes. And had it been, it would have filled up his lungs with tumors. But
Well,
luckily, it did not. It was not in communication. They were able to take the scars out. And then on, I want to say it was January 14th or 15th, 2015. I walked into St. Jude Hospital because they were going to do a surgery. And all they were going to do in the surgery was just clear out the margins. And my wife had been there for orientation for the first 2 days because you know how easy it was to get off work at Cadillac, but at the time.
Yeah, I know.
But she says, come for the surgery. I said, that's the big one. I said, okay. And she says, John, you're not going to be able to handle this place. And I said, what do you mean? So we're just going in for a surgery. And as soon as you walk in those doors as a parent, those 6 hours, I was never the same person again. Just
Wow.
wasn't, because you just looked at couples with 1,000-yard stares looking for miracles for their kids and weren't coming. And knowing that I was getting to walk away scot-free while I'm watching all these kids being wheeled around in these Red Ryder wagons because they're not strong enough to walk around the hospital themselves because of the chemo and the radiation that they're having to endure.
Right.
And, those 6 hours have just transformed me. Courtney told me to get away from the surgery room because I was just going crazy that morning because I just couldn't handle everything I was watching. And she says, go to the pharmacy, which was the biggest mistake she could have ever done. But also it's turned into the biggest blessing because then I walked through a whole multitude of families waiting for their medication. And I'm looking at what I figured out was a girl because she had a bow on the top of her head with one string of hair holding it together as her mom was handed 6 bags of prescription medication that she was going to have to take. And I just lost it right there in line. And one of the ladies behind the counter just said, look at me, dear. Look at me, dear. Look at me, dear. Don't do this. Look at me. And I just walked up to the counter and said, how do y'all do this every day? How do you do this? She said, who else is going to do it, dear? And it just hit me like a ton of bricks as soon as she said that. And I offered my credit card to pay for the medication. She says, no, dear, it's paid for. I said, no, I know, but I can pay for it. She wouldn't let me do it. And I said, how much does this cost? And I went home and went on St. Jude link and I paid double what the prescription was just as a thank you. And that drive home, one of my best friends called to tell me congratulations about Harrison, but my friend Jerry Finney told me that he had been diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma, over 400 tumors in his body, was given a 27% chance to live. And this was 17 years after he had stage 3 Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I nearly watched him die the last time because back in 1997, they would give people with Hodgkin's lymphoma what's called red devil, which is this red bag of chemo poison that burns you on the inside, makes your hair fall out almost instantaneously. I mean, I literally watched him stumble from his bedroom to his bathroom to get sick and watch hair just fall off of his head while he was stumbling in there. And that was my image of what cancer looked like. And then coupled with that morning, I couldn't handle it. But I knew at that moment that this disease was being thrust into my life because it was an accident that my son leaves St. Jude and my best friend calls me that day to tell me that his cancer's back. And so at that moment, this disease kind of took over my heart and I figured out I had to do something about it.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, and we were working together, so we kind of watch you go through it and stuff like that. Obviously, we were praying for you, and your son's doing well today, correct?
Yeah, a month after I left Cadillac, we went for his last appointment at St. Jude in November, and he is now a 10-year. He was in November of 25. He was a 10-year cancer-free patient based on their records. And so now he is in their graduate program. So he no longer has to go to St. Jude. He'll just get an annual physical every year just to make sure that everything's fine. But yeah, I mean, Keno, I always look at it this way. If you go to our website, the story of Harry and Jerry, I narrate the whole thing in its tea. But the one thing I left off of that video is what I tell everybody. I feel like Jerry had to carry the cross for my son so that he didn't have to carry the burden of the poison, the sickness, the things that kids, you know, I see the strongest kids in the world come out of St. Jude, but I don't know at that time if my son was going to be strong enough mentally to handle it because he's more reserved, shy kid. Now he's come out of his shell since all of this has happened. But, you know, I think that Jerry's carried the cross just to get my attention for my son. And that's how I've lived this entire journey, knowing that I'm giving back every day because somebody carried the burden for my kid. God spared my child like Abraham spared Isaac, and I am the blessed one for it. And so I give back unconditionally now without reserve.
That's awesome, man. What are some of the biggest challenges cancer patients and their families face outside of the medical treatment itself? We're all aware of, the chemo. Well, not aware, but we are familiar with people talking about the chemo and stuff like that. But what are some of the biggest challenges they face outside of just the medical part of it?
Buddy, I'm going to tell you, knowledge is key. Knowledge is key in everything. And you know what I encourage people to do is to learn as much about the diagnosis as they can. You're not, I always say that a person is not going through cancer. A family is going through cancer when diagnosed.
Right.
It's not just one person, it's everybody. And then friends, you will see some that will come and be all in, just ready to help, whatever they want to do. And sometimes that can be overbearing to the patient that's just trying to get through another day. But then sometimes you have people that just withdraw and don't know how to do anything. So the thing that I just tell people the most, the biggest challenges that are out there is number one, knowledge of what the patient's actually going through, and try to do as much research and try to find the similarities of what that loved one or friend is going through and fill in the void where you best fit, you know, that you can help out the most in. And on the other things, most of all, I just tell people, whether you're religious or not, pray, meditate, whatever you want to do, but as much positive vibes as you can do. And I always feel that when you have multiple people coming together in prayer over somebody, that's the strongest thing that you can do. But prayer alone doesn't do it. You know, burying your head in the sand and only in prayer is not all that you should do. Family members just need to educate themselves on what the patient's going through. And thank God for AI. It's helping us out more and more every day for people to learn that. But just educating themselves on the knowledge of what the patient's going through, that's the best thing anybody can do to help support someone going through it.
Okay. You kind of sort of answered my next question I was going to ask you, but I'm asking still because it might still help. And it was, that's okay. That's the way it
Right.
happens as you talk, you get answers to some things that you had in your mind already. But, because the next thing I was going to ask you is how do you think people misunderstand most about supporting someone who's battling cancer? Because like you said, we want to help, but a lot of times our help is not always where it needs to be.
Yeah, like Jerry always says to me that I'm a bull in a china closet. I just, I mean, I'm just, I gotta fix everything, you know, and I can't do that. And there's not one person on this planet that can fix everything for an individual. Can't do it.
Right. Right.
So the one thing that I tell people the most is that if you're not financially able to help, if you're not spiritually able to help, show empathy instead of sympathy. Empathy is much stronger than sympathy because sympathy to a patient thinks that, oh boy, they think I'm going to die.
Right.
Empathy is a much more powerful ally for a cancer patient only because you can sit there and let them know, listen, I don't have any idea what's going on in your mind and what's going on in your body right now with what you're having to endure. But I just want you to know I'm here for you any way you need me to be. And that to me is the strongest thing anybody can do. And let the patient tell you what you can do for them instead of saying, hey, I'm going to get you this meal, I'm going to get that. Because there could be somebody already in charge of that. And then you're going to be meddling into that. And then all of a sudden, okay, well, some people go, okay, fine, you don't want my help, I'm just going to leave. No, ask the patient what they need. Jerry was always really good on telling me what he needed from me to help him while he was going through it. He had the support of family members and loved ones that was helping him out. But I was watching one of the most incredible survivor stories I'd ever seen, and I wanted to make sure that I was filling voids that were there. And that's the best thing anybody can do. Just listen to what they need instead of telling them what they need.
Which is in life general is one of the hardest thing for us to do is just listen. You know,
It
but we
is.
all can, yeah, it's
He gave
hard.
us one of these and two of these, and we always use this over the other two,
Oh
trying to
yeah.
catch up.
What we got to say is more important than anything else, so we gonna say it.
I get it.
um, yeah. So, what are some of the things that you've learned watching someone close to you and also through your organization, watch people go through cancer that you just did not understand before, and you probably would have never had the understanding if you did not go through this?
I'll never be able to. The one thing I can say definitively, I will never, in all the work that I do for cancer patients, I never will understand what that patient is feeling or going through because I have not gone through it. I have always been a third party,
Right.
but watching people in the third part from the third person is kind of a more powerful thing because there's so many things I just didn't know. And I mean, to this day, I'm in this now 11 years. I still don't know everything. I'm learning every day. But the one thing that I didn't understand at the time was the financial crunch that's hitting families left and right after treatment's over. The amount of people that file bankruptcy after going through cancer treatment. Great, you're alive. Here's $65,000 bill. How do you want to pay that? There's a lot of
Wow.
people who can't. And so that's one thing that I learned. And one of the other things I learned at the time, back in 2015, there were no support services out there for people that were like when Harrison was diagnosed, I went to St. Jude website to find if there's like a communal support group. How do you deal with a child that's going with cancer? There's nothing there. So then I went to Mass General, kept going west, kept going everywhere. Nobody had anything. Um, that's changed. And I like to think that we've had a lot to do with that change locally. I think how we've engaged the institutions here in Memphis, I think Courage to Cancer is definitely responsible for a lot of that because we got a lot of people to understand that that's a very important component of the fight.
Right.
But those are the things I didn't understand then that I do now more so that this fight this fight is a communal fight. And usually I always thought there was the patient's strength that could get through it, but I don't think it's just the patient's strength. I think it's the support group that someone has helps people infinitely more. Um, and the other thing that I've learned is that one of the big things is that just because somebody passes away from cancer doesn't mean that they were weak, doesn't mean they weren't strong enough. I think there was a stigma to a lot of people. Um, and one of the things that kind of makes me mad a lot because a lot of reason why we honored so many people in the beginning that had passed away is what they did during the fight was so impressive because they knew that the cure's around the corner and they're going to fight like hell to do whatever they can to get through this to inspire that next person up. And I think that's a big misunderstanding that when somebody dies of cancer that they just gave up or weren't strong enough. Sometimes the disease is so strong, there's nothing you can do about it. There's really nothing you can do. I mean, I have stories upon stories of people that were on their final death. They were on their deathbed. They're still alive today. And then I have some that were told they had 2 months to live that lasted 7.5, 8 years longer. So the biggest misunderstanding, or thing that I did know then, and a lot of people don't really realize, is that the outcome is not necessarily the result of the fight within the individual. Everybody's fighting like crazy. it's human nature. You don't want to die if you don't have to, but sometimes people do throw in the flag when they say throw in the towel. And they say, you know what, I'm not going to go through another 4 months of this for a 5% chance of survival. I'm just not going to do
Right.
it. And some people go out on their own terms. I didn't understand that either. I'm one of these guys. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's go. But I've found more strength in people that go out on their own terms like that. That's kind of inspiring to me. That shows a level of faith I never knew existed.
Right. Yeah. That's. You know, we never know, and there's none of us want to experience that, so we should always, just have empathy. I have a good friend of mine that's going through cancer right now, man, and he's been strong. He actually he does his videos on social media, and he called it Big G Little C.
Hmm.
He said my big G is bigger than the little C, So it's
Right.
it's it's been a real, it's been very very uplifting and stuff to watch him go through it. We actually went, my wife and I went to visit him and his wife. I think in July we probably
Hmm.
went, just spent a weekend with them, and we just went up there, and all we did was sit in the house and do nothing. We just like,
Right.
they're like, you guys want to go? And we're like, nah, we just here for you. Just let us know what you need. And all he literally wanted was for us to just be there. And we got in the house, and I think I left one time because I went to buy him a gift card, unaware to
Uh-huh.
him, of course. And then the next time we got out of the house was when we left to go back to the airport. We just sat in the house, watch movies, and eat, and listen to music, and talk, and pray and stuff. So we were just there, and we can tell that meant a whole lot for us, just being there. And one of the things that his wife got to do while we were there, she went to bed, and I think she slept for like 12 hours straight. And then we're
Wow.
like, good, we're here. So she just literally were like, listen, go sleep. It's okay. We're here.
Right.
Because sometimes we don't understand the people who, like you said, you're not going through it yourself, because he is taking the medicine, but his wife is going through everything that he's going through. All the
Correct.
emotions, all the ups, all the downs. She's right there taking all of it in, and it was good that we can just for one weekend you know, just be there for her, be there for them.
It,
So
it
that was
was
really cool.
about 3 or 4 years in when I heard we have cancer.
Yeah.
It's not it's we have cancer.
Right.
Both of you at the same time? Yes. Really? Well, he's the one that's going through the treatment, but I'm supporting him
Yeah.
while he's going through it. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that's a new one. And then I started hearing it more and more throughout the years because but what you and your wife did, that's the best thing that you could have done. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
honestly, just being there. That's like I said, just being there, letting them tell you what you need.
And that's all
That's
we did.
that's
And that's
that's
all
one
we
of the
did.
greatest gifts you can give an individual going through
Yeah.
it.
So give me a quick synopsis of exactly where does Courage to Cancer come in throughout the whole fight. Obviously, we know the medical side, the doctors and the this and the chemo and all the stuff. Where does Courage to Cancer come in and support throughout the process?
So it's a kind of we are about to be a three-pronged attack in the fight. Okay, so right now we have been an event-driven organization. Okay, our new logo is Courage Through Cancer provides personal and actionable information to anyone fighting cancer. Well, we've been doing the personal side for the last 10 years. This last year that I've been working on this, I'm working on the actionable and how that is unfolds. I'll explain in detail. Right now, what we do is we have individuals throughout the city that share stories of inspiration to us for us to decide who we are going to honor at our events in the fall. Some stories are more powerful than other, but every story is powerful because somebody's going through it. So everybody's equal in my eyes when it comes to that. But we're always trying to tell a different story or one that's going to have more reach out there for individuals. So if you go to CTC, that's Charlie Tangle Charlie Memphis.org, and go to our website, all the videos of all the people that we have honored are hosted on this website, and it's broken down by the years we honored them, and it's also broken down by the cancer type. So if you have a loved one that's going through cancer, instead of them having to go to WebMD or whatever medical site they want to go through, they can go to our honorees section, type in the type of cancer they have, and every video that we have had that's been a part of that cancer type will populate right there for them to be able to learn from individuals' experiences on what they went through. And for those that have passed away, their loved ones, sometimes a brother, most times a spouse, will tell that story for the one that passed on, and they didn't pass on because they weren't strong enough or their fight wasn't strong enough. It's just there was no cure there, and it was so far gone there was nothing they could do. So that's one part of our how we fit in. Number two is our events that we have. We started for the first 3 years having nothing, or actually the first 4 years having what's called the CTC celebration, where we recognize the individuals that we honor, that do these videos for us once a year. And the first 2 years we did it for Wings. Then we did it for St. Jude for 4 years. Then we added Baptist into the fold. And then we brought West Cancer Foundation back into the fold. So now we have a pickleball tournament for West. We have a 5K for Baptist. We have a golf tournament for St. Jude. And we have our event in the fall, right in the end of October, beginning of November, every year as kind of the kickoff for us to bring all three parties together, West, St. Jude, and Baptist, all their patients together, and have a celebration for all the great works that they're doing. And one of the things that West, St. Jude, and Baptist all know about us is that we're not in competition with them. 80% of all the money we've taken in over the last 10 years, we've given right back out to those institutions. So we were blessed last year, after year 10, to be able to say with confidence that we have donated, not raised, donated $1 million to Mid-South Cancer Organization since our inception. And that is a telling statement, because most of the time you hear people talk about how much money they raised.
Right.
But they don't tell you what the cost of the event is. Okay. So just because they raised it, that doesn't mean that's what they're cutting the check for. Now, we are changing our strategy a little bit moving forward, because now we are going to have something actionable for people to do. So what we are currently doing, we are in the process of developing a website that is going to be provided to anybody within the rural areas to be able to understand and navigate their cancer journey on the front end before they ever come in for treatment. We are going to provide a service platform that's going to be covering oncology, diet, physical therapy, psychosocial therapy, cancer or caregiver education, patient education, holistic services, the whole 9 yards. We're going to be providing all this on one platform, and we're working with all the local university and colleges that are in the Mid-South. They're going to help us create all this, and then we're going to start rolling it out county by county over the next 4 years, making sure that we've got everything connected. We're starting here in Memphis. By the end of 2027, we're going to start rolling into Nashville, and then we'll be in Knoxville and Chattanooga by the year 2030. But our goal is to make sure that everyone has access to information at no charge to them. And we will provide this whole platform and help people navigate it through their own personal insurance. And if they don't have health insurance, we're also going to help them know what services are available to them as well, to try to cut down on this bankruptcy filing that happens for so many cancer patients. We're just going to try to put that out there and provide that service. And we have the full backing of West and Baptist in this endeavor. I have friends at St. Jude that are going to back me, wherever I have to go around the country with this. We are going back up to Washington, D.C. in September to meet with the entire Tennessee congressional delegation from Memphis all the way to Chattanooga and Knoxville, senators, Congress people, to tell them what's coming and how they can support us as we spread this across the state. And then eventually we're going to break outside the state of Tennessee and going into Mississippi, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Missouri, you name it. We're going to probably start in the Southeast and go to the Northwest, and then try to get in the different areas all throughout the country. And it's going to take a long time, because it's a lot of networks and a lot of partnerships we're going to have to create. But we have a dedicated group that's going to help us with this. And the great thing for me, and one of the blessings that I have within this, is the support of an incredible board of directors that's sitting here doing everything they can to help us. And I have some great leaders in the political community that are helping me open every other door that I could possibly have. And then, most importantly, I have the support of patients and caregivers throughout the city of Memphis that wants to see this thing go through and be successful. But for me, this is going to be a gift that the city of Memphis gives the rest of the country, just like St. Jude and Elvis and Chrisley's and whatever and FedEx. We want to be something that's going to provide something great for the country that comes from the people of Memphis that are showing people that we want to keep families whole. My family was kept whole.
Right.
So therefore, for me, this is a personal mission of I want as many people as possible to experience what I was blessed with. And the way of doing this is what we're working on now.
Okay, perfect, man.
That's a long answer. I know, but that's the best way of explaining
No,
it.
no,
So,
it's fine. The answer is the answer. There's nothing wrong with that at all. What is one story or experience through colorectal cancer that has stayed with you over the years, if there is such?
there's so many. I mean, listen, I always go to this one story. I always go to this one, and everybody knows I'm going to go to the story that's been around me for all these years. But it's one where you see a true miracle happen. It was August of 2016. We had already designated our 6 people we were going to recognize that fall. And this girl named Gina Hollenbeck, who's one of those people that was given 17 months to live, that lived for 7.5 years, ended up dying because of COVID. But she and her husband came to see me to tell me about this teenage girl named Allie Allen. She was diagnosed with this glioblastoma that St. Jude had never seen. She was ground zero for that type of patient. She had radiation to tackle it when I think she was 14 years old, came back again when I was 16 years old. And they told me that we couldn't wait until 2017 because she wasn't promised 2017. Well, while Allie was going through her treatment, her mother was diagnosed with breast cancer at the same time. So you had the father that was dealing with this glioblastoma that St. Jude had never seen and doesn't know how to cure down at St. Jude. And then he's got his wife out at West in Germantown getting chemo taken to help save her life at the same time. They're both, the mother survived and the daughter got out of treatment when she was 16, 17 years old. And they begged me to honor her that year. And I did. We ended up changing the posters that we'd already paid for, but we went ahead and honored her. And she was not promised to get through her junior year, and she did. And they told her, well, you got through your junior year, you're never going to graduate high school. And she did. And then they said, well, you're definitely not going to be able to go to college. And she did. And St. Jude, to their credit, and this is something a lot of people don't know about the great work that St. Jude does for patients that are diagnosed, that are in college. St. Jude basically got her dorm room and the room that she lived in for 4 years sterilized, treated, to make sure that she had all the needs that were necessary for her to be as germ-free as possible, so there was no danger of the cancer spreading to different parts of their body through other type of things, whatever. But that's all science stuff that I don't understand. I run a cancer organization, but I don't understand science. But anyway, but Allie was amazingly strong through her freshman year, and her sophomore year, she kept getting tested, and tumors that are in her brain that they were never able to remove, because there's one tumor that's wrapped around this one area that would make her a paraplegic and she wouldn't be able to control her body at all. But it was dormant. And junior year, same thing. They said, we just don't see how this is going to stay dormant for you to graduate from college. And she did. And they said, well, I know you've got a boyfriend, but you'll never get married. And I'm going to tell you right now, that was the most joyous wedding celebration I've ever been to in my life. because when you see this girl that 6 years later was not promised high school graduation, much less college graduation, much less being able to get married, the celebration that day,
Right.
I will never forget as long as I live. The yell of that entire audience going crazy when they pronounced her husband and wife. It, that's the story that sticks with me. And I had dinner or lunch with her a week and a half ago. She's still plowing along. She has seizures from time to time. They have a service dog that helps her, that can help her if she has one, if her husband's not around. She works for ALSAC. She still goes to conventions around the country to help raise money for ALSAC. But Allie Allen, to me, is living proof of God's grace on earth. This is a girl that was not promised anything, but has been given
Right.
everything. And it's a story like that that keeps me going. It's a story like that that gives me hope. And another quick one, I know that's a long story to tell. This one will be a little bit quicker. There's a lady named Sally Mattis that in 2017 had this very aggressive form of breast cancer that the hospital called the family to come to the emergency room because her organs were shutting down. And she had a group of 40 friends come to the hospital, surround the hospital in a prayer chain in a circle, and all of a sudden her organs started firing back. And a week later, she was out of the hospital.
Wow.
And last spring, she was given the notice that she is now cancer free 9 years after her original diagnosis. And I mean, Bud, when I see things like this and I hear stories like this, and I'm up front and close and personal with people like that. I mean, we just had this girl last fall, Rachel Rapp. She was not supposed to make it past our event, and now she has no evidence of disease, and she had a breast cancer that they couldn't cure, but she's cured. I mean, I'm just seeing this all the time, and for people to tell me that God doesn't exist, I'm telling you right now, He does, because I'm watching it through the lives of these people, these living miracles that I'm watching, that there's no medical explanation for why they're cured. They just are. And Allie will never be cured. Okay. She will always be a cancer patient. But what she will always be is a source of inspiration for every child that's told they have zero shot at St. Jude, to be able to point to somebody and said, that person is why I have a chance of getting out of here. And that's what fires me up to do this, Keno. And that's why I made this leap of faith a year ago, to leave a 29-year career at that dealership to get out front and make myself accessible to where I can try to move the ball down the field and try to get this across the finish line and do whatever we can to help as many people as possible. I see that with all these people, and it's my blessing in life that I'm able to do it now. I mean, but those are
Man,
the
I can.
stories that get me, man. I've got 25 more I can tell you like that, but I know you don't have that kind of time, but I mean, it's just go watch the videos. You'll understand why I get this fired up.
I got time. I promise I got time. But I tell you what, I can definitely hear the passion in your voice when you talk about those two stories, because that's everything you do. Probably, I don't know if most of, but a lot of what you do, there's a sad side to it. So when you
Oh,
have the
absolutely.
miracles and the happy endings, if you want to put it that way, I can hear that in your voice, that definitely helps you keep going. So that is and again, that was actually one of my questions too. Why is it so important for people to share their stories? And there you go. That's so because when you see somebody going through what you're going through and you see them come out on the other end, it gives you hope. It definitely, for whatever it
Well,
is. Yeah.
well, I'll even follow up with that. Just, I mean, because those are two great stories, but let's talk about one that didn't have the humanistic answer that people wanted. Coach Mike O'Neill. Um, he wrote a book, I Won't Back Down, telling about his cancer journey. 3 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago, I was down at MD Anderson, or I was down in Houston for my nephew's wedding, and Mike happened to be at MD Anderson for treatment that day. And he had throat cancer, esophageal cancer, whatever you want to call it. It was all in the same area. And I got to go there that morning, just happened to be there at the same time. And he walked me around MD Anderson for 3.5 hours because he wanted to show me the place that was saving his life and keeping him alive. because he was diagnosed, I think, back in 16, 17, and he was fighting all this time. And a year ago, January, he passed away after a long fight because he was the person that gave up on going through another trial because there was only a 5% chance it would work. But the
Right.
amount of chemo, it was like a Hail Mary. We're going to throw every chemo at him that we can, and there's only a 5% chance. But my wife and I were able to go to he and Beth's home and for lunch one Sunday afternoon, and in his bedroom is a prayer wall. He's a devout Catholic, and there's candles, all these Bible verses, everything on this panel of this wall. And he told Courtney and me that he and Beth had decided that they weren't going to fight this anymore. And they stopped giving him chemo about 3 months earlier, and it was the healthiest he had ever felt. It was the best because he wasn't being poisoned anymore.
Right.
But then his body started fading because the cancer started taking over. And, I told Beth and I told the family that at our celebration event that fall, we were going to have a dedication to him. Even though we honored him in 2018, we're going to go ahead and do something for him that day. So he was on a walker. He couldn't walk on his own strength anymore. Halfway to the place, they didn't know if he was even going to be able to make it to the event. But what he didn't know, that his family had driven in from Alabama and Arkansas, from all over the place. And I had a whole group and cast of former players and friends that were there, that had played for him at CBHS and at Collierville High School and all this stuff. And here I am with a room of 450 people supposed to be talking about the new honorees that we're talking about. I saw him as I approached the stage, and I said, everybody, you're going to have to give me a minute. And for 7 minutes from stage, I talked strictly to him. And this was in 2024. And it was his eulogy while he was alive. He got to hear the importance of his life and his impact to everybody that's ever been around him. And he's able to share it with his loved ones surrounding him. And I had to apologize to all the new honorees that year. That's supposed to be their night. And I said, yeah, but every one of them said, there is no way you could not have done this. And I immediately jumped off the stage when I was done. I didn't know that I know we had other things going on behind me, but I just went straight up. And he got up from his walker to give me the biggest bear hug. And he said, you just set the tone. You just set the tone. You just made this night. This whole night's going to be great because of what you just did. You crushed it, because he's always the football coach, always inspiring. Right. And his funeral was in January. It was a snowstorm. It just, because you remember Cadillac, it's hard to get off work, but thank God it was a snow day. And there was 12 inches of snow on the ground. And luckily I got to go to the funeral without any problems or having to get anybody to cover for me. And
right.
I spent the whole day there with him, just listening to all these people about him. And the thing is, he went out on his terms. He knew where he was going. And sometimes, people cling to faith at the last second just as a hope to wink in the door. And, Mike lived his life on sheer faith and devotion to his Lord and to his family and to his players and to every person that he came into contact with. And man, I'm telling you, it's stories like that, it's people like that, that even though they don't get the humanistic answer to this fight, their impact on the lives of others is so over the top strong. And it's an honor to say that I was a source of inspiration to a guy that's given me nothing but inspiration ever since I met him. So that's just something I wanted to share about my friend Mike.
That's awesome, man. So before we go, how can me or anyone help Courage to Cancer through whether it's a donation, volunteer? And I told you, please send me all information in terms of volunteering, because I'm here for you.
I know you got spare time.
How can we help?
So really, it's like I said, once the website becomes live, and we're going to have to roll it out in pieces to make sure it works. spreading the word about that, but that'll be all over social media when it comes. But I have a list of people that I'm going to send this out to say, hey, if you know anybody that's in this county, send them this information. And look, everybody knows that what we're working on is going to help rural patients just as I mean urban patients as much as it is rural patients. But we are focusing this mainly on the rural patient that doesn't have access to information or doesn't know what to look for and stuff. So really following us on social media is really the best way of doing everything. It's Courage Through, THRU Cancer on Facebook. We're on Instagram, not on X. We're on LinkedIn. We're on a bunch, and we're on TikTok. I got 2 people working for that on for me. But as far as our events go, that's really where the volunteers come in. The 5Ks, the golf tournaments, the pickleball tournaments, and then our celebration. Look, if you're somebody, someone that's really good about getting silent auction items, we need people like that. I mean, that's how you can help. Setting up, luckily for us, it's kind of done by the event center now, where we used to have to do it all on our own, but there's still just ways of people being able to help out just by spreading the word, following us and seeing what the events are. And that's how people can help. Because I will put you in front of cancer patients. I will make sure that when you're looking around, most of the volunteers that we have already have scratch in the game because they have been impacted up close and personal with the disease.
Right.
We're not limiting to that anymore, because just because you don't have somebody personally involved in it doesn't mean that you can't be involved. And so I want everybody to know that our events are the best way of doing it. But come 2027, sharing our information about what Todd Help is what it's called is going to do for people, because it's going to change the game on how people diagnose or fight their diagnosis. Having all services available on one website platform instead of having to go to 15 different spots, and then being able to put in your insurance information so we can help you navigate what's best based on your insurance. There's just nothing like that out there. And the fact that this idea was given to us and we're marching down the field, and the fact that we've been to DC once and now about to be twice about this thing because they're engaged and excited about what we're doing. I mean, that's phenomenal. But for the individual, sharing our information, that's the best way. And there really is nothing more powerful that anybody can do is to let somebody that's going through cancer go to our website to know about the people who have been honored before and hearing their videos. Donating to us, we have a donate page. We ask people if you can contribute, bits and pieces a month. The more money that's donated to us is going to allow us, number one, to be able to donate more money to the Mid-South institutions that we're raising money for. And secondly, it's going to allow us more flexibility of hiring more people to help expand our services to go beyond the city of Memphis and so on. So what I tell everybody, Courage Through Cancer is a 501c3. We are a nonprofit. So any donation you make to us is a tax write-off. And the best way that you can help us is by donating money to us, because the more money we get in, the more money we can give out. And I am paid strictly separately from all cash donations that come into CTC. I'm paid off the books, so none of your money is going toward me. All your money is going for us and helping this fight and being able to free up as much money as possible and cover the cost of our events so we can give more money to West, St. Jude, and Baptist cancer centers. That's it.
Man, that is awesome, John. I really truly appreciate you taking the time to do this with me. Thank you so much.
I'm just glad you
Definitely,
picked up the
I
phone call
will.
and said, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, sure. I got nothing to do on Friday. That's good. It's a lot different now, isn't
I
it, man?
appreciate it. Yeah. you, you ain't got to get somebody to fill in anymore.
No, I don't. It's great. I still get
That's good,
by
man.
there from
But
time to time,
man,
say hi. But look,
yeah,
man.
it's great.
But it's a blessing that you had me on today. And my whole job is to make sure that people know what I'm doing. And do I have it all figured out yet? No. Again, if you can't tell by now, this is a passion led project for me. I don't know all the rules yet. I'm still learning it as I go, but I'm surrounding myself with some of the smartest people around. So I'm really fortunate to have wise advisors that are helping me through this process.
Man, thank you again
Pros
very
only,
much.
but
Thank you so much, and good luck. And let me know when you do it. I haven't played pickleball yet, but I know how to hit a ball, so I might come play some pickleball.
yeah, I tried it and that day. Yeah, that's not me. We're not doing that. but I know you're an avid runner, so you can do that. So I'll get you involved in that. Keynote, thank you so much for having me today, man. Wishing you and your
All
family
right,
nothing but blessings
Ben.
every day. Take care of yourself.
Thank you, man. Me too. Appreciate you, John.
Always, brother. Be good.
All right, bye bye. Thank you. So yeah, thank you if you checked in on this live. Thank you very much. But that was a conversation I wanted to have with John, and I knew when John started this because we worked together at that time, and the story is a really good one on how he just took off from what had happened to him to try and help other people. So yeah, got emotional a little bit sometimes. Good thing I wasn't talking much because I see some tears running down my eyes. Um, but yeah, so thank you very much. Next week I will be talking to a group of folks, might be at least three people from a closing attorney's office, and we'll talk a little bit about what the process looks like from the time you go on a contract and we send the paperwork to the attorney's office. What happens? I myself don't know sometimes. Well, let me repeat that. I myself truly do not know what they do. But I know that when I send it to them, they call me and say, hey, we are ready to close. And that's the kind of people you want behind you when you just give it to them and they run with it. All right. So listen, thank you guys very much for checking in. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week. And have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye.